Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana. Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana. Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana. Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Tira Vanantari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana. Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe, Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada
Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Go the Pimanandi
Hari Hari Bol.
Dayam Vishupada Paramahamsa Pri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Chirabhaya Charanarvana Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandiviti Founders Areas Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Pimanandi all that is to be assembled devotees, all that is to be assembled devotees, all that is to be assembled devotees. All that is to see Guru and to see Gauranga, all that is to see the Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Sarakaya Taksurimbilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jita Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narotamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Tato Jaya Mudiraye.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara, Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badrishu
Nasta Prayesha Badreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Tamasloke
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Bhakti Bhavati Naishtuki.
By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Idam Bhagavatam Namaha
Puranam Brahma Samhitam
Puranam Brahma Samhitam
Uttamaśloka Charitam
Uttamaśloke Charitam
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Nishreyasaya Lokasya
Nishreyasaya Lokesha
Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat.
Dhannam Shashanam Mahat.
The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda
Sri Advaita Gadadhara,
Sri Adaita Gadadhar
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama, Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama Hare Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Mukam karoti vasalam pangum langayate girim yatkripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yatkripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class. We are continuing from Canto number 1, Chapter 7, The Son of Drona Punished. And text number 26. Yes. Okay, so I did 25 yesterday. I couldn't remember. 26. Yes. Kim idam swit kuto veti deva na vidme aham sarvato mukam ayati tejaha parama darunam kim idam swit kuto veti deva na vidmyaham sarvato mukam ayati teja parama darunam kimidam swit kuto veti deva na vidmyaham sarvato mukam ayati teja parama darunam kimidam swit kuto veti deva na vidmyaham sarvato mukam ayati teja parama darunam
किमिदं स्विक्कुतो वेति
Kimidam Sritkuto Veti
देवदेवानावेद्म्यहम्
Devadeva Navidnyaham
सर्वतोमुखमायाति
Tomukamayati
तेजा परमादारुणम्
Teja Paramadarunam
किम् इदं चित्कुतो वेति
Kimidam Sritkuto Veti
देवदेव न विद्महम्
Devadeva Navidnyaham
सर्वतोमुखम् आयाति
Sarvato Mukham Ayati
तेजः परमादारुणम्
Teja Paramadarunam
किमिदं स्वित्कुतो वेति
Kimidam Sritkuto Veti
देवदेव न वेद्म्यहम्
Devadeva Navidnyaham
सर्वतोमुखमायाति
Sarvato Mukham Ayati
तेजः परमादारुणम्
Teja Paramadarunam Kim. What is idam? This. Swit. Does it come? Kuttaha. Where from? Ba iti. By either. Deva Deva. O Lord of Lords.
Lord of Lords,
Na. Not. With me.
with me,
Do I know?
do I know?
Aham. I.
I,
Sarvataha.
Sarvataha,
All around.
all around,
Mukham.
Mukham,
Directions.
direction,
Ayati.
Ayati,
Coming from.
coming from,
Tejaha.
Tejaha,
Effulgence.
effulgence,
Parama.
Parama,
Very much.
very much,
Darunam.
Darunam,
Dangerous.
dangerous.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. O Lord of Lords, how is it that this dangerous effulgence is spreading all around? Where does it come from? I do not understand. Kindly repeat after me. O Lord of Lords,
O Lord of Lords,
how is it
how is
that this dangerous effulgence
that this dangerous effulgence
is spreading all around?
is spreading all around?
Where does it come from?
Where does it come from?
I do not understand it.
I do not understand it.
Report. Anything that is presented before the personality of Godhead should be so done after due presentation of respectful prayers. That is the standard procedure. And Sri Arjuna, although an intimate friend of the Lord, is observing this method for general information. Translation again, O Lord of Lords, how is it that this dangerous effulgence is spreading all around? Where does it come from? Where does it come from? I do not understand. So in the last 3 or 4 verses, Arjuna has been addressing Lord Krishna by offering various prayers in glorification of Krishna. And Prabhupada is making this nice point here that before approaching a superior, one should, we could describe it as Vaishnav etiquette, which is a big subject matter actually, Vaishnav etiquette. So standard procedure in our Vaishnav tradition is referring to Vaishnav etiquette actually. And Prabhupada, interestingly enough, is referring to Arjuna as Sri Arjuna. I mean, normally he refers to him as Arjuna, but to offer due respect, because Arjuna is a great personality. And although he's very close, just like friendship between devotees is very much desirable, but that friendship between devotees is not should not be seen as ordinary friendship like we see between two ordinary persons. So Prabhupada is making the point here that although Krishna and Arjuna are very close friends, Arjuna is in the relationship of Saka, Shanta Rasa, Dasya Rasa, Saka, Sakya Rasa, means relationship of friendship. Still, he's observing this process or this method, and Prabhupada just underlining that this for general information means for our knowledge, for our information. So it's in other words, it's only after offering these prayers that he then is asking this question, because of course he will be seeking the direction and of course the protection of the Lord. Yeah. So like this, actually Vedic culture is full of very specific ways of doing various practices. Just like yesterday, we had a nice verse we were reading from the 10th canto. I just want to share it with you actually because it's kind of related to this point, that there are certain daily activities especially that are meant to be performed by according to our position or class within society. The verse I was reading yesterday, it happened to be from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 70, which is dealing with the Lord's daily activities in Dwarka. And there was a series of verses actually, 10 to 16 to be precise. And I just made a note actually of the 10th verse because it's, I think you'll understand right away. It's very significant. It's part of the fundamental practices that we should all be doing, and in this case, that Lord Krishna, playing the role of a Kshatriya. So this is also described in various literatures. I was mentioning how in the Kautilya Arthashastra, Kautilya Arthashastra is written by Chanakya Pandit, where he very elaborately describes what are the daily activities, daily duties and responsibilities of those who are Kshatriyas of the king. So this is the verse here, text number 10, Canto 10, chapter 70. Go Vipra Devata Vridha Gurun Bhutani Sarvashaha Namaskrityatma Sambhutir Mangalani Samasprisat. So devotees who attend Bhagavatam class will know some of these words because many of these words are repeated. Go means cows, Vipra, Brahmanas, Devata, Devas, Vridha, elders, elderly people, Gurun, spiritual master or spiritual personalities. Then Bhutani Sarvataha, all living entities. Namaskritatma, offering respect, offering obeisances, the result of which will bring Mangala. So the translation, Lord Krishna would offer obeisances to the cows. Not only have darshan, he would actually offer obeisances to the cows, to brahmanas and demigods, to his elders and spiritual masters. Mentions spiritual masters, Vedic culture, one has many spiritual masters for different purposes, and all living beings, all of whom are expansions of his Supreme Personality. Then he would touch auspicious things. Um, so, so in other words, when we speak of Vedic culture, so by observing the activities, in this case of Arjuna, that we're reading, or like in yesterday in that particular pastime, the activities of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is the foremost in terms of acting and teaching us by his activities, which he did, which he does in Vrindavan as well, isn't it? His different interaction and relationship with the residents of Vrindavan, and of course his very activity, daily activity, when he is a little older, when he is maybe 6 years of age or 7 years of age, he and his cowherd friends, they begin to look after the small cows, the calves, and that very famous purport 10, 11, 37. So 10th canto is important in many ways because we get a glimpse, we get to see what are the activities of Krishna in the early part of his Leela in Vrindavan, then his activities in Mathura, then his activities in Dwarka. And there are many important lessons to be had from that. Uh, yeah. So this is one point being made here. Any comment on this before we go to the next verse? Means this cultural aspect of, we call Vedic, the name is there, culture, Vedic culture. Prabhupada actually made this statement on a number of occasions how the Krishna consciousness movement will be able, actually is meant for, how did he put it, a cultural conquest through culture, through education. Culture is very closely connected with education. We learn the culture through education. Of course, we learn culture also simply by associating with persons who are living that culture, who are examples of that culture. In the early days, I remember when I was here in Mayapur, it's part of the Indian culture or Vedic culture. One young brahmachari had received a donation. Somebody gave him a glass or a cup, and then he presented me that glass. He said, "You first, you please, can you drink from my glass?" He wanted his glass to kind of like be be taken or be used by someone senior, right? So there are many details actually that we find throughout the pages of the Bhagavatam. Just like when a student is walking with his teacher, or when a disciple is walking with his spiritual master, then the disciple has to be careful not to walk on his shadow. It's culture. And when we're walking, there's always people walking in the opposite direction. One should be cautious not to allow people to come in between the teacher and the disciple and the student. you know, these may seem like trivial things, but actually they all have a reason and a purpose. It's all part of culture, and uh, and therefore, um, when we study, as we read through the pages of the Bhagavatam, same thing actually. That whole lila, which is very significant, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his servant Govinda, right? That whole lila. What lila was that? Yes. Um, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who every day was invited for prasadam, this one particular day was extremely tired, and Lord Chaitanya, as a habit, after honoring prasadam, he would return to his quarters, and then Govinda, his servant, his assistant, he would massage the Lord's lotus feet. Um, but on this particular occasion, Lord Chaitanya, who would enter his room and take rest, could not enter his room. Could not enter his room means that as he was so tired, he collapsed actually at the door, isn't it, and blocked the entrance. So Govinda was perplexed. How can I do my seva? My Lord is here, and I'm outside. So then, you know, the Lord's legs were inside, so he had to think how to go inside without, you know, because you can't. In India, as you know, if you're traveling in a train and somebody's sitting beside you and they accidentally touch you, then you know people they touch back. Yeah, because actually we're not supposed to be touching other people's body. So anyways, um, he found a way by putting his chadar on top of Lord Chaitanya, and he went inside, and then he performed his seva. He massaged the Lord's lotus feet, and he was very happy. And then he just sat in the corner. Then after some time, Lord Chaitanya, who had fallen asleep, woke up and he realized what had happened, that he had fallen, you know, in the doorway. And so he asked uh, his servant, Govinda, how did you come in? Then he explained how he came in. And then the custom was that after his seva, then he would go and take prasadam. So Lord Chaitanya asked him, so why you didn't go and take your prasadam? And he had mentioned that, well, because you're there at the doorway. And Lord Chaitanya, well, you came in, no? Yeah, I came in for your service, but I cannot go out for my for feeding myself. Anyways, these are subtle but very uh, important aspects of Vedic culture. So this is a small example that is, well, it's not just a small example, but it's an example of how Arjuna, who was actually a very elevated soul, and that's the glories of Vedic culture when it is being followed and practiced. Yes.
So you mentioned that in Vedic culture we have some customs which we need to follow.
Yes.
And that's depend on the position of the persons, means sambandha in
Yes.
the Vedic knowledge, in the Vedic relationship.
Mm.
But also we have spiritual sambandha, means the spirit soul and the supreme and other souls sambandha. So when you start your daily activities, which one you do first or second? How they fit together? The Sambandha consciousness of spirit soul and the Sambandha consciousness of the Varnashram type of consciousness. So how you build it together, because both I think we have to do before we start daily activities.
I'm not sure specifically what you might be referring to. For example, every day when we rise, we're meant to offer our obeisances to Guru, to the spiritual master. Same thing before taking rest.
Yeah, but as a spirit soul, you have a spiritual teacher. But as a Vaishya, Kshatriya, you have
Yes.
material elders. So which one you offer first? You offer your obeisances to your parents, or you offer your obeisances first to your spiritual master and then the parents? Which one comes first, and how is built up with the proper consciousness that both remains in your consciousness?
Yes, yes.
And not destroy one or the other.
Right. Well, what was that example? I think it was in the in the Bhagavatam, after the battle of Kurukshetra, Dhritarashtra was being cared for by Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Yudhishthira Maharaj every day would come and offer his obeisances to him. So we, in the understanding, is that we, those who are initiated, the very first person they offer their respects to are their spiritual master. And then they can offer respect to other important persons. I was actually, the verse I read mentions Go Vipra, first cows before Brahmanas. In many verses, like Namo Brahmane Devaya, Go Brahmana, Go cows, and then Brahmanas. I think there's one factor that is also there. The residents of Vrindavan, for example, they have a practice. So because they are situated in a particular bhava, mood, so they do things differently than ordinary people, isn't it? For example, every day I think I was sharing this some time back. They cook especially roti, because it's part of the diet, number one, and secondly, because every day there are sadhus who perform madhukari. I guess they don't knock on the door, but they just come in front of the house, and it's part of the custom and the culture also that Brajabasis, they understand the and respect sadhus. So every day they cook chapatis because they know that some sadhu will come. But actually, when they cook the chapatis, they also know, of course, that everything ultimately belongs to Krishna. But the first chapati, they don't offer to Krishna. They put it aside for the cow. And even the second chapati is not offered to Krishna. The second chapati is for the sadhus who will come. And then they offer to Krishna the third chapati. In other words, this is their mood and mentality. They know that cows and brahmanas, or cows and sadhus, are very, very dear to Krishna. So we don't, those who are not Brajabasis, we think in a different way. We think everything should be offered to Krishna immediately.
You said you will have a cow.
Well, then
So
maybe.
when you cook first, make a roti
Well,
cow.
yeah,
And then the next one, if
yeah,
some guest comes
right, yes,
to the guest, this is beggar. And then
yes.
the other person,
That
they
is,
will
we'll have to decide to what extent we want to introduce the Brajavasi culture. Of course, in the Nectar Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami very clearly explains that if somebody is doing puja, and if some guests come, then he can stop the puja and actually attend to the guests, right? So this is etiquette. This is culture.
because we know Krishna is more happy when a guest nicely received and continue
Yes,
offering.
correct. Actually, one time I heard this many years ago. Srila Prabhupada, in the early days when he came with his first disciples, there was no temple, no ISKCON temple, and so Prabhupada and his entourage, maybe 15, 20 or so devotees, they would be invited naturally with a big sensation. People from outside of India dressed as devotees and having danda and so many things. So one time they were invited by one very wealthy and pious person. They went there early in the morning, and they were told by the servant, kindly wait in the living room. Baba, or whatever, the master, is doing his puja. So they waited for some time, and then after that he came down, etc. So after meeting him, etc., then Prabhupada, after leaving the house, he mentioned to the devotees, you see, he's a very pious person. He has deities. He does puja every day. But he doesn't know that when some sadhu comes, he should stop that puja and receive like that. I mean, not that Prabhupada was wanting glorification, but it's a matter of etiquette, yeah, teaching his students like that. So there are many, many very subtle things that obviously, if one is not attentive, or if one is not, when we read these different descriptions, not trying to learn or to grasp, the subtleties. There's so many subtle things that are part of the Vedic culture. That's culture means that there are many details that the more one is knowing about these details, the more one is following these details. Just like I heard sometime many years ago, I think it was maybe either during Prabhupada's time or after, soon after, some of his disciples, Prabhupada's disciples, were visiting on Gaudiya Math. And one of the devotees was wearing a garland. And, out of goodwill, they were meeting one of the sannyasis in the Math, maybe the head of the Math, I'm not sure. But out of goodwill and sentiment, he wanted to offer him something. So he took off his garland and offered to him. And the devotees were very upset because he's junior, and a junior taking off his garland offering. This is like many subtle but very important details that are there.
And the other question that you mentioned that Kshatriyas are doing their morning conscious Sambandha duties.
Yes.
But in ISKCON we don't know who we belong to, which caste we belong to. So then how you do that, what you will decide to do if you want to teach your disciples. You do Brahmanical meditation, offer as a Brahmana or as a Kshatriya or as a Vaishya. How you find if you don't know. Or at least not recognized. Maybe you have a feelings, but no one recognizing you like belonging to one caste.
That's an interesting question. Good question. That how we are meant or how we can teach, let's say, either our disciples or people in general about the Vedic culture, which is, expressed and lived through these four varnas. When to a large extent most devotees don't know to which varna they belong to. Yeah. So there are two things. One is that most of our activities within ashram and within temple, uh, being our goal, of course, is to perform pure devotional service as aspiring Vaishnavas. And we are called upon to do different things which may be from different varnas also. We clean up the yard. Sometimes we do manual work which generally is done by not by brahmanas, let's say. So that's why this whole dimension, this whole aspect of establishing communities where the different responsibilities will be more easily known and identified, because in a temple situation or ashram situation, it is different than in, let's say, a whole village where it's very obvious. For example, those who are digging the holes right now, I mean, maybe they would like to attend the Bhagavatam class, but their role right now is to dig the holes, right? Which is basically a Shudra activity. And so the teaching of the activities that are meant to go on in the different varnas will only start happening, I would say, in a significant way when we create such kind of villages, especially. Not only villages, of course, in the city. This verse I was reading yesterday was mentioning...
So bigger community, not like a temple.
Right, yeah. It was mentioning how Krishna was also engaged in serving individuals from all of the different varnas. That means that in the city... Yeah, as a kshatriya, yeah. That means that in the city, there are brahmanas, because wherever there's a kshatriya, he has brahmanas who perform so many different activities, and he takes counsel also from brahmanas. And then there are vaishyas, because in the city there is trade, yeah, and there are cows also. There's Goshala.
Not so many, but they are.
Yeah. I was giving the example of in Bangkok, where I was visiting some years back. One of my godbrothers is living close to the palace, because places like Thailand, Cambodia, not so long ago, Indonesia, they were kingdoms. I mean, we call it Kingdom of Thailand, the Kingdom of Cambodia. Yeah. So in the palace, there's a Goshala, and this devotee is getting, those who are living around the palace, they can buy milk from the king. They get pure milk from the king. So so it is when we will establish, when we'll be successful in establishing what is meant to be an ideal Vedic city. We're not against cities, we're against cities that are not Vedic. Yeah, right. And when we will establish villages where the basic Vedic norms and cultures will be followed, then we'll be in a position to actually teach according to Varnas. Now, we know philosophically that Vaishnavism or Bhakti devotional service is above, but at the same time, for society to function, these are natural divisions that are there, and even though one is an aspiring Vaishnava, Prabhupada very clearly explained that it is not, don't prematurely call yourself a Vaishnava. It is not so easy to actually be a Vaishnava, just like it is not so easy also to be a Brahmana, Brahmana means one who has all of these qualifications. Vaishnava means one who has the 26 qualities that are described of a Vaishnava. We are aspiring to become Vaishnavas, and the point is that even when one becomes actual Vaishnava, he will still respect and work within the system that Krishna has created, although he may not be as bound or obligated as those who are maybe still under the influence of the modes of material nature. Your hand was going up a few minutes ago. You had a question?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
You said Prabhupada went a house.
Went to a house.
With his devotees.
Yes.
So the house owner doing his
Puja.
and he sent his representative to wait.
Yes,
sometimes,
his servant. Yes.
His servants. So his servant, his representative.
Yes, the
And
proper.
representative not different the house owner.
No, different.
So, it's different, but
Prabhupada.
like Dut.
Yeah, but Prabhupada came to see the owner of the house, not the servant. Prabhupada came to see the person who owns the house, you see. He did not come to have discussion with the servant. The servant did his duty by informing Srila Prabhupada that my master, or like such and such, is busy now. He's doing his puja, kindly wait, which was nice. But the point is that, as I tried to explain, Vedic culture is very intricate and very detailed. And the idea is that when a guru, a personality of very high stature, comes to our house, the same example I was giving, which is there in the Shastra, if somebody comes to visit while the pujari is doing puja, he can stop the puja. I mean, he's serving Krishna. But Krishna feels, just like he was mentioning, Krishna knows that his devotee, somebody is coming to take darshan. Krishna is more pleased when we give attention to that person. That's the point. So there was no error or fault on the part of the servant. He was doing his service, but and it was, of course, responsible on the part of the owner of the house to send and to receive Prabhupada in that way. But actually, what was better, what is generally expected, is that a higher service, higher responsibility is to actually temporarily interrupt one's puja and receive. I mean, you don't stop your puja just for just anyone who's coming in the temple, but if some great some great person is coming, then yeah. So this aspect of Kala Desha Patra is very, very important actually in the Vedic culture.
How he know his great personality? We know he's Prabhupada, but how he does not know. I think.
And the servant, quality of the servant, you have to recognize someone came, you have to recognize just a great personality.
But even before that, sometimes sadhus will come, what is called atiti. Titi means according to time, atiti means no time, may come anytime. But Prabhupada had, in all likelihood, made some kind of appointment that he's coming early in the morning. So it means that, especially if that was the case, even if it was not the case, Prabhupada was a sannyasi. So when you receive a sannyasi, yeah.
I heard that one of the great acharyas in South India, before he became a leader of that sampradaya, he was in grihastha life, and his wife made very serious mistake in this case that once his guru came when he was not at home, he Vaishnava guru came and the wife served the guru, but then he cleaned, she cleaned the place where the guru was sitting,
Okay.
and then he thought, okay, no more family relationship. So he took sannyas because the wife was not qualified to support that culture which need to keep.
Yeah.
So
Some
qualification is important, not just
correct.
simple things.
Yeah.
If we serve someone, we have to learn that qualification, which kind of person is.
Yeah, well, that's why in the Vedic culture, for example, in the context of marriage, which is a very big topic, or in the context of relationship between man and woman, parents would normally take years, literally, they would take years. They very carefully, very cautiously, very thoughtfully would select who will be the ideal wife for my son, or who will be the ideal, husband for my daughter, like that.
Just one note about this respect that there is a topic about the Lord and the Lord's incarnations. And when we start daily spiritual practice, we very nicely do it with the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we say prayers before we just associate with Srimad Bhagavatam, who is Krishna himself.
Yes.
I think it's very important to learn the same thing to do when before we do chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Right.
I see me too. Just okay, this time as chant 16 rounds, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, okay, and go. But it is not proper. It's not making a first respectful relationship with the full representative of Hare Krishna or Krishna, like a spiritual son incarnation. So I think we have to take care of that because maybe we just miss the point, and then for a long time Krishna is, I don't come. He's not respecting me, just calling me. What is the? It's not. He will not come.
Yeah.
We have free will to come or not. So first we have to
set the
consciousness into that
proper mood,
relationship, proper relationship. Without sambandha, we cannot gain prayojan.
Yeah. That is where the vast majority of what is it? Lacking. We're very much lacking, and that is the beginning actually of all activities, unless there is proper sambandha, unless that proper, because we're dealing with the whole aspect of relationship, and relationship is something that is very personal. So if we are neglectful in cultivating and displaying that mentality or that mood, then the activity will not bear the expected results. Yeah.
So the Baba Seva, establish the mood and
Yes.
then do the activity.
Right. Sometimes devotees chant the whole pranam mantra of their spiritual master before starting to chant Hare Krishna, which is nice practice. So today Rameshwar Prabhu has no question. He had a question yesterday, or comment yesterday. Yeah. It's good. Okay, I'm pleasantly surprised that we have some ongoing activity. Normally on Friday, people don't come to work. Are they still there? They're gone. Still there. Okay. Because they came early because it gets hot, as we can see by the end of the Bhagavatam class. It's time to end the class. Yeah. Normally we have a cover here. Maybe we have to put it back because, of course, within a relatively short time, the rains will come, so we won't even be sitting here. Probably we'll be sitting inside. Anyways, we probably still have a few weeks, so if we can put up again this, where's the tarpaulin? Anyways,
Why not have this green plastic shade?
because it's, yeah,